Welcome back to Edutube. Science is simple. In today's video, we're going to cover about ATP. So, what exactly is ATP? You'll hear about ATP a lot when you study biology. It pops up in topics like mitochondria, cellular respiration, or active transport. Basically, it shows up everywhere, and that's because it's super important. Many students learn that ATP is like the energy currency of the cell. That's actually a pretty good way to think about it. When I first started learning biology, I imagined ATP as little energy packets that cells use to get their jobs. ATP is used when your muscles contract to help you move. It's used when cells pump things in and out against a concentration gradient. It's also needed when cells build large molecules like proteins, or when they divide to make new cells. Those are just a few examples, but really, ATP is involved in almost everything the cell does. But what is ATP? Where do we get it from? And how does it work? ATP belongs to the group of molecules called nucleotide, which is the same kind of building block that makes up DNA and RNA. Just like a regular nucleotide, ATP has three parts: a sugar called ribose, a base called adenine, and phosphate groups. But ATP is special because it doesn't have just one phosphate group, it has three. That's why it's called adenosine triphosphate. All three phosphate groups have negative charges, and they really don't like being near each other. These like charges repel, making ATP unstable, kind of like a loaded spring. The bond between second and third phosphate groups is like that spring under pressure, full of stored energy. When the cell breaks that bond, it releases energy like releasing the spring. That energy is what the cell uses to do work. ATP becomes ADP, which stands for adenosine diphosphate, since it has two phosphate groups. So, how does your body make ATP? During cellular respiration, your body takes the energy stored in glucose and uses it to add a phosphate back onto ADP to make ATP. In plants, the glucose made during photosynthesis is to make ATP. And it's not just plants and animals. Bacteria, fungi, and protists, every living thing, needs to make ATP to survive. Some organisms use oxygen to make ATP. This is called aerobic respiration. Others can make ATP without oxygen. This is called anaerobic respiration or fermentation. So how does ATP give energy to the cell? ATP can be broken down in a process called hydrolysis. That just means water helps break the bond between the second and third phosphate groups. When this bond breaks, ATP becomes ADP, and energy is released. Just releasing energy isn't enough. That energy has to be used for something useful, like moving things, building molecules, or powering reactions. Cells are really good at this. When ATP gives away one of its phosphate groups, it can attach to something else, like a protein. For example, think of a special protein in a cell that helps move molecules across the cell membrane. Normally, this protein can't work on its own. But when ATP gives it a phosphate group, the protein changes shape, kind of like flipping a switch. That new shape helps it do its job, like pumping ions or nutrients into or out of the cell against the concentration gradient during an active transport. Once the job is done, the protein goes back to its original shape, and everything resets. ATP is like a rechargeable battery, and it is replenished during cellular respiration. This is super important because your cells are constantly using ATP and need to make more all the time. This process is happening all the time in your body, from tiny things like a single cilium beating, to big events like cell division, or even helping tRNA pick the right amino acid. ATP is there, making it all possible. So next time you see the ATP symbol in your textbook, you'll know it's not just some boring molecule. It's the little spark that keeps every cell alive and working. If this video helped you understand ATP better, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a bite-sized science lesson from Edutube. Until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and remember, science is simple.